keys together that we talked about before, we have what we call the time signature or the meter signature. Now what this means is that the quarter note receives one beat or one count, and it is grouped in threes. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And in this time signature or meter signature, we also have the 4 on the bottom, which means the quarter note is the beat note or gets the one count. And there are groups of 4 in each measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is what we call the time signature or the meter signature, which is usually in the beginning of music in order to give you the understanding of what groupings there will be, whether there are groups of 2, groups of 3, groups of 4 in the beats. And finally, we have what we call the key signature. In the key signature, there will be either sharps or flats. Now, since this flat is on this middle line, we'll count up from the second line, which the G clef shows that the second line is a G, G, A, B. So this flat is on the third line, so that's the B line. So that means all of the B's in the whole musical composition will be flatted. If we count up spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, this space is what we call the E space. So therefore, all of the E's in that composition will be flatted. The same thing holds for the bass clef. The second line here is the B line. So therefore, all the B's in the composition will be flatted, or played with a fingering so that it will be flat. And this third space is in the E flat. So all of those. In the sharp keys, this top line is the F line. And with this sharp surrounding the F line, that means all of the F's in the composition will be fingered so that they become F sharp. Here we have a note, the sharp on the third space, so that third space is the C space. So every note that is in this space will be a C. But since the key signature says sharp, it will be fingered and performed slightly higher, and it will be sharp. Before we get any further, there's one other thing I want to show you here. See this little thing here, this little comma? You'll be seeing this in music. And from time to time you'll see it. And what that is a breath mark. It's saying that this is a good place to take a breath. Well, you've learned an awful lot about music theory, the language of music. Learned terms and signs and symbols. You learned about the roadmap of music. We learned about pitches, the high and the low of music, the notes, the letters of music. Learned about the rhythm of music, the fast and the slow, the different types of notes there are. Learned about meter signatures and time signatures and key signatures and the breath mark. And now, I think you're ready to learn how to play your first notes on your instrument.
So the first note we're going to learn is B, RB. That's this note right here on the treble clef. And the way we play that note on the saxophone is with the first finger of the left hand. Now you will see 5 pearls on the left part of the saxophone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We will skip the first one, and our first finger goes on the second from the top. So I will depress that key, just the first finger, just hold it down. I'll take a deep breath, and I will breathe, and I will just let the air go, and that should give me a B. So let's try that right now. That is B. The next note we're going to learn is A. We already have B. All we have to do to A is add the second finger. So we leave the first finger down, and now we put the second finger down. So it's the first two fingers in the left hand, B down to A. So A sounds like this. Now, we're going to learn our third note. That note is G, right over here. And that is the first three fingers on the left hand. So we had B was the first finger, A was the first two fingers, G is going to be the first three fingers. And it sounds like this. You will notice that my right hand, the position, my fingers are over those pearls but not pressing anything down. I'm just resting the saxophone on the thumb on my right hand and using my neck strap as the other place of holding. Now we're ready, I think, to learn our first song, which in this case, very apropos would be Mary Had a Little Lamb, because it has those three notes in it. So we are going to go down the scale, B, A, G, A, B, B, B. So it's down and then back up. If for any reason your saxophone just doesn't work right, you can't get a sound, it makes funny sounds, it chirps, it squawks, it does weird things, take it to your band director, take it to your teacher, or take it to a bona fide saxophone repairman or repair person, someone that knows how to take these apart. Don't try to fix it at home. Don't get a pair of pliers or a hammer or a screwdriver, and don't do it yourself. Even if you're a person that can put a car back together, let someone who knows how to do this, because these mechanisms are so complicated that one turn here or one bang here will affect the rest of the instrument, and you can damage it forever. I always like to wipe my instrument down with a polishing cloth. You can get these at any music store or at any store, really. Some soft cloth that won't scratch the lacquer. And what I will do is I will wipe it down this way, just to get any excess saliva or little spots of moisture that get on them, and also fingerprints. I always take the neck piece off first, because that will allow me to put my saxophone away, and I have less chance of damaging it that way. So I will take the neck piece off. Remember, I unscrew the screw here a little bit so that it's loose, and then with a turning left to right or side to side motion, I will loosen the neck piece until it comes out. Don't pull on it, don't press, don't bend it. It's a brand new instrument, so it's hard. Sometimes the first few days are tough. If for some reason your instrument doesn't slide very well, one of the tricks that I have learned is that if you were to take a cloth and just wipe this area off very cleanly down here, and just do this. Don't put any grease on or any of that. Again, I have my arm holding the saxophone, so if God forbid anything happens, I can grab onto it. That will usually help the neck piece go on smoother. I have a swab. You can, again, purchase these at any music store, or if you're so inclined, you can always take a handkerchief and tie a rope to the end of it and have a little weight on the bottom of it and run it through the instrument. What this will do is this will dry off all the excess saliva that's inside of the instrument and protect your pads. So I will take this part and just gently drop it down into the saxophone. I will flip the saxophone, the bell, so that the weight comes out of the bell. Now you see that? And then I will gently pull on the swab until it runs through the saxophone. Again, this is a brand new swab, so it's not quite as easy to do as one that's been broken in. But that's it. And I have picked up all the excess moisture off of my instrument. Now, you find the little protector for the neck, which you always have in your case. Put it back on, gently with a turning motion, and just tighten the screw so that it doesn't come out. You don't have to tighten it, just make sure the screw's not loose. And I will once again take my polishing cloth and just wipe off any excess spit or fingerprints, and I will put the saxophone. I always put it in this way. Neck first, up against the edge, and then gently down. Do not drop your saxophone into the case. Don't try to force it in. If you drop it, chances are keys will get out of adjustment. It will not play for you. There are many techniques for putting your neck away. For most of us, what we will do is take the neck piece and the mouthpiece and take the mouthpiece off. So I will, in this case, do that. Now I have my mouthpiece. I will put it down. I will wipe off my neck piece. I should run my swab through it just to get all of the excess saliva out of my instrument. There are other things that you can buy. There are things called neck swabs, which look like little felt curved things, and you just put them through here, and they're actually better than these long swabs. They don't create as much tension. So I choose that. Wipe this off and put it back in its place in the case. And lastly, I will take the reed off, and I will once again put my reed back in my jar. Unscrew the ligature, take the reed, place it back, and close the seal jar. What I tend to keep more than one reed, and what I will do is mark the one that sounds the best with a marker. I will write 1. The next best one I will write 2. The next best one 3, 4. Once again, I will try to wipe off any excess spit that I see in my mouthpiece. Put the cap back on it. Put it in the case. I try not to keep anything excess. I never put anything over the saxophone except for a cloth. And I'll usually do this almost like a blanket. I tend to baby my instruments. So I put that there. This case will have a compartment for your reeds, for your mouthpiece, for your neck strap, for your cork grease, for your swab. The swab usually will come in a bag. And that's basically maintenance.